There's always a catchy tune. Welcome, it's Saturday morning and this is The Art of Rock. First and foremost, I acknowledge the Tonga people as being the rightful landowners of Los Angeles, California. May their beautiful skin and their amazing bloodline keep this place alive. Thank you for your resilience. May we find the humility to learn from you. Every Saturday morning, we are here. This is Art of Rock. And we're here, boom, there on Angelspit's fucking Twitch. Diana, welcome. We also do a whole bunch of this on Angelspit's YouTube there, but Twitch is where we wanted to be because we then raid to MTV TV, which you need to know about. This is made possible with Angelspit's Patreon supporters. There's a link. You can join for free. There's a whole bunch of stuff there for free or for $3 a month. Plus, supporters are getting a copy of the new album, Red End, which I'm very happy with this album. There it is. Pre-ordering on Bandcamp now. Go get them, Tiger. But Patreon supporters get a copy for free. More stuff that you can listen to for free is the Industrial Incisions playlist. There is a Spotify link to a playlist. Go find a band that you like. A new band. And if you play them often, your life will get better. And their life will get better. Remember to check out Vulture Culture on Wednesday night. Damn, it's fine. Man, you know that fucking... You were there on the other night. He did the Odyssey, the Korg Odyssey. Motherfucker is gnarly. Such a gnarly... It's like the sound of... was it the Axe? I don't remember. Of Ultravox and John Fox. It's really interesting. Not many synths can get that level of gnarliness. So thank you, Alex. You're a bloody legend. This is Alex's Scum shirt, which I'm wearing right now. Boom. Go support Alex. Look at me and my funky rhythms. After this, we're going to right on over to MTV TV. Boom. Alistair, good to see you, and good to see you on Wednesday night as well. MTV TV is fucking awesome. You will find your new... Did we just lose Alex? We're going to find your new favorite band there. And if you want to send your stuff to them, they will play you. There, boom, go get it. MTV TV, there it is. You're going to find your new audience. They're great. Razi is the man who is keeping everything together today. Well said, Razi. Thank you. On such class.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that on?
No, that's great. Thank you.
Morning, evening.
After we're done here, we're going to raid on over to MTV TV. Boom, and that's how it's going to be. Also, if you're looking to get yourself motivated to make positive change in this great country, go join Indivisible, because they will show you constitutional and legal ways on how to make things better. And if you're looking for a social media thing that doesn't have algorithmic bullshit, check out darkmusic.net. So we're going to kick it off. There's a question, and I don't actually know how to pose the question, but I'm going to put it to you like this. And it's serious, so here it is. When there is a lot of salt in the air, and everything you eat has a lot of salt in it, the taste of salt gets into your mouth. And it's difficult to cook and know if what you are cooking is good when there's a whole bunch of salt going on. It is hard to make decisions on taste. So what my question that I'm posing is, how do you, what do you do about that? And it's a serious question, so keep it on subject. And I'm talking about music, obviously. I'm talking about despair, and I'm talking about confusion, and I'm talking about the overwhelmingness of everything. We're not going to talk about the overwhelmingness. We're going to talk about what you can do about it. This is a problem I am having because I am finding it incredibly difficult to see clarity and beauty in everything that has become so compressed and so oversaturated and so salty. So I want to know, what do you do to combat this? / do you feel the same way? And if you don't have an answer, maybe you could complain about how you feel the same way. Rosie, I see your hand.
I think part of that also describes burnout. Like it's a secondary thing to what you're actually saying. But the closest I'm getting right now vibes, there's somebody, like I described some things that I was talking about that had some similar oversaturation, hard to perceive differences from other influences. And they're like, oh, it sounds like you're talking about burnout. And I was like, I don't, oh, is that what that is? Um, I don't know. I don't have a solution or an answer right now, but I did want to just sort of start chipping away at the salt lick there and maybe coming at it from a little bit of a different angle. Because there's like two major ways into it, and that's either you make everything salty that you're doing and just keep on, or you seek other influences that balance off the salt. And I don't know how to force myself personally into either of those, but are we on the right track metaphorically still?
Yeah, yeah, and it comes to the clarity of your mind, the ability to make creative decisions, and the ability for you to think, dream, imagine, and find joy in what you're doing. And you know what? Burnout could be the word I'm looking for here. It could be the word. I like that. Thank you. Do I want to throw it back to you? Hey, Josie.
There's one other word that comes to mind, and that's, you know, like when a word starts sounding alien, even though it's a familiar word, and maybe you just used it 4 times in a row, and the term semantic satiation comes to mind.
Yeah, yeah.
That Josie doesn't really have anything on the topic, but
Da, da,
she wants to be part of it.
dun, 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 dun. Thank you. Dun, 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 dun. I should put the thing on because people aren't getting that gag. So the gag is every time Josie walks past the camera, I do the Jaws theme. That's it. Ivan, I'm going to throw it to you, and apparently you still have a predator in your house. Thank you, Razi.
A good one though. Yeah, I'm gonna shut up about it for a minute there and just keep thinking about what you're talking about though.
Okay.
I do have some thoughts on this one. I think like your first and foremost like best weapon or warning system is because I really go out of my way to never sound derivative. Like I don't want to do that. It's not my bag. It's not my thing. I'm to the point where I don't really like playing covers even, and I recognize and understand that playing covers is actually super challenging. It has its place. I don't want to be known for that because I don't want to be known for sounding like somebody else. And like avoiding anything that would be too derivative is helped me. Because it's like foundational level stuff. If you're just trying to avoid that, you're going to end up missing out on a lot of that, like, oh, it sounds just like everybody else kind of problem. Because when you're going off the beaten path, you're gonna find treasures that the rest of the crowd are missing out on.
Thank you, Ivan. What the fuck are you drinking out of? Is it? It's a skull. It is a skull. It is a skull. You are so dark. Does it like have, when you drink from it, do you go, Kalima? Kalima. And plus, that's called hugging the shark as opposed to jumping the shark, Rosie. How do you like? No, this is great. I'm sorry. I'm going to try and stay on course here. Thank you. Thank you so much. I want to also throw this back into the idea that you don't. It's not about the other people and the other, because I'm reading some of the comments, and thank you so much for these comments. It's not about the music that's out there and the crap that's out there and the mindless, soulless people. It's about me becoming a mindless, soulless person who is making crap out there and who is focusing on content rather as opposed to king. Filler rather than killer. I have some suggestions. My first suggestion is going to watch that Rick guy who, for some reason, I hate that guy. What's his name on YouTube? Rick fucking producer guy. But he's brilliant.
Yado?
Yeah, he's really good. And I don't know why I don't like him. I just go, I hate you. Maybe it's because I'm jealous. But he did a breakdown of, I watched Teen Spirit breakdown. And that was brilliant. It's like, fuck, that's so good. And some of the things he was talking about, like Dave Grohl's beat, the first kick coming in a breath later, and I've noticed it, but I've never noticed it. And I went, oh my God. And he also did a brilliant thing on Whole Lot of Love. So watching that sort of thing really is a great thing, because like maybe, you know, in the words of fucking whoever, you need a teacher. Because there aren't many teachers and we can't afford them. Like listening to these guys, Rick Piatto and those other guys who are actually talking about what is going on here and why it is fucking magical. Why? Why is it good? Don't go, yeah, man, I'm just sitting here with my big beard and my crazy blonde hair in my huge fucking mansion in Hollywood Hills, which is just up there, incidentally, saying about, oh, I just do what I think. Fuck that guy. Rick Piatto is actually going in there and saying why it's good, which I really appreciate. Also, hey, I'm pimping Vulture Culture again. And that is that it's great to watch Alex do his thing, because Alex does shit with synths that I would not think about doing with synths, that I'm in quite a rut. That when you sit down at a synthesizer, you just want it to sound like Blade Runner or whatever. And that's a nice thing to go, oh, well, you know, if Alex did this, if I gave the sound designing to Alex or someone else, I'm talking about Alex Vulture Culture, not Alex Pizza and Beer. No offense. I wish I was known as Carl Pizza and Beer. I really do, but I'm not. I'm highly strung. Freak out, Carl. It's nice to go from a sound designing perspective. That would be great. Listening to other music, and for example, John fucking Fox, yeah, thank you, Alex. Yeah, good painting is when you look at it 1,000 times and you know it's a good painting. You listen to John Fox, or listen to fucking old Ultravox, or something. Or fucking Stevie Wonder, or something different. I always goes back to Wendy Carlos, fucking hooked on Bach, switched on Bach. Still, man, I listen to that shit and I go, we were going somewhere. That's why I'm always watching Blake 7, because I'm trying to fucking get out of my brain. Use more presets. I'm promoting presets here. This is fucking crazy, because that was done by somebody else with a different mindset. Yes, definitely tweak. And I say use presets if you're every single thing you sounds like massive fucking massiveness. Because like the shit I'm coming up with right now, it's massive fucking massiveness. And it's so massively fucking massive. I was talking to another Moog user the other night, actually Disraeli from Melody Zenith, who I saw live in LA, and they were great. And Disraeli was saying how it's really interesting how the big Moog sound is the big Moog sound, and that's great. But sometimes you don't. Sometimes you want the shitty, tinny, gnarly, fucking core, fucking ARP Odyssey sound because it is, and it's a whole big bag of fuck off. Love that thing. Listen to some Walk. Message to Carl is walk. I've actually started fasting today. As a lot of you know, I fast intermittently, and I'm going on a 3-day fast because I'm such a fucking catastrophe right now. Helps with depression and despair. In my case, I can fast. I'm blessed. Some people cannot. Go out and see more people. I hate seeing people. Can't stand it. Can't stand leaving the house. Frank hates it when I leave the house. It's difficult leaving the house. It's not safe leaving the house because I walk. But I've got to try and go out more. I've got to try and walk and get out and see humans more, because it's just being around humans to me. There's this big, like, it's this tank full of really nasty energy in me that just builds up. I think everyone has it, and that's part of the problem. And this tank just fills up and fills up. And when I'm around other people, that tap just turns off and goes out. It just drains it. Because I think I'm realizing is that all of the nasty energy in that tank doesn't actually exist. It's not there. It's just me speculating and making up shit in my brain. And that's part of the reason why everything tastes salty. Moog uses anonymous. Oh yeah. Thank you, Alex. But it's interesting, on different Moogs you can pull some really different stuff. It's just weird. Anyway, okay, that's all I got. Razzie, talk to me.
I think you kind of just said everything, but I kept my hand up nonetheless. Forced my way into thinking about this a little more deeply. There's a little pattern that I noticed. I don't know if anybody else has this. Like, mostly with YouTube videos, that's what I am tuned into for finding new creativity. If the guy's got some sort of electronics or synthesizer or a guitar or something, and a cinematic approach for vlogging or showing their workspace, I'm sort of okay and into that. They're a maker associated, or they worked for ILM, Adam Savage, that kind of thing. Leaning into what I can't stand about a new channel that I've found, like I've done this a couple of times lately, and watching through it until I find what it is that I was attracted to about it, despite the distaste, you know, and take away some small lesson from how they do the room tone and sound effects, how they balance their audio, how they lack a voiceover or include just small bits of VO and dialogue, you know, and refocusing on a new ingredient to add that hopefully still holds the analogy of countering the saltiness. You know, it's like finding some pleasure in something that you didn't realize held pleasure for you, because it's still in this vat, you know, that you're not quite sure you're convinced you enjoy. I don't know how useful that is, but I think I've noticed it a couple of times lately, past few months.
Yes, thank you. The collaboration thing is good. It's really fascinating, like in the compositional journey, how much fear, like how much you have to face fear, and how much you have to face, because you know, like Lynch said, the further you fish, it's dangerous going into deep waters. It's dangerous because there's storms and there's rough oceans, and I'm speaking metaphorically, creatively now. But that's where the big fish are, and it's dangerous. And you know, you could say, oh, the danger doesn't really mean anything, but it's like, you know, you're going, if I go wrong here, I could lose my audience. And it's really interesting to think that, you know, I think you really start, and you're in the middle of the ocean. I think you start in the middle of the ocean and you find your way back to land, because land is safe, because you're trying to find your sound. And when people say I'm trying to find my sound, sometimes I really think it means, dude, you're in the middle of the ocean, and that's the most exciting place for you to be. Because that's what Lynch said, and Lynch is awesome. That's all I got right now, and I don't know what year it is anymore. Does somebody else want to take over?
If you're in the middle of the ocean, you better hope your cruise ship doesn't run out of power and then the toilets stop flushing. I watched Poop Cruise.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
It was actually interesting, and I'm trying to make it relevant to this, but these were people shoved into a real situation of desperation in the middle of a party, and there's something metaphorically appropriate about that. When you're actually in the middle of the ocean and your internet goes away and the electricity goes away and the toilets go away, and you have to start deciding what's actually important and necessary, and I don't know, where do I go with that? might have talked myself into a dead end on it, but if you can still find something to do with your, I don't know, man.
I appreciate this. This is
People
great.
were having their own shit come back up out of the drains, and it just seemed like a lot more of a situation than anything I can come up with musical frustrations and stuff. So
There is a relevancy to this, and I'm going to get to it. But first, here's Ivan to say something very random.
Totally random. Yeah, Lynch was really seriously onto something. Um, back when I spent my summer living dangerously in Boston, I discovered, one of the simple truths of the universe, which is, all the great rewards are just outside of your comfort zone. So if you do go out into the deep ocean, you will find those rewards. And, it's really easy to catastrophize around all that. But most of the time, those catastrophes don't happen. When they do, it's, pretty freaking bad. But usually they don't. So we need to exist with less fear.
As he takes a sip from the skull. Thank you, Ivan. That was actually very good. I want to talk about that, but first, here's Alex and Frank.
Yeah, further on that, I watched part of the David Lynch masterclass with somebody illegally uploaded on YouTube. And there he said that for him, ideas, the first one is very precious and he catches this. Sorry, he catches it. And the next idea, no, sorry, he takes pieces of that idea and uses them as bait for the next idea. And basically reels in one idea after the other and then tries to get them into a coherent whole. Maybe I misremember the metaphor,
No, this is great. This is great.
something like that.
Thank you. That's really fascinating. I was going to say something, but I forgot. That's really interesting how you start with something and where you end it might only have the minor shadow of wherever it is you started, you know? And I guess it's fear is what doesn't let you let go of that idea that you think was excellent. Oh, greatest idea in the whole wide world, blah, 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 whatever, you know? So it's fascinating that no, the idea's gone. Isn't that ironic? Carl's going to go on an internet spiel. The brilliant irony of this, and when I look at AI, and when I use AI, and then I go, I can't fucking use this shit. AI creates the stupidest, dullest, boring, most homogenized shit I have ever fucking seen. And that is reflected in what is everywhere. Everything AI touches is shit, dull, boring, and homogenized. And that is in its choices of the dull, mindless dog shit that it feeds you in your feed, in my feed. And that's part of my issue, is that my feed is full of fear and paranoia and angst and confusion. And whether it's that by some conspiratorial design or because I just don't fucking care anymore, but at least now I can see that it is salty shit. That's what it is. And as because all the bands you see that are making it are making shit that could be AI generated. I'm just going to go out and say that. Meanwhile, and I will fight this. People are craving shit that isn't shit and isn't salty. They are craving an actual human experience. They don't want chaff. They don't want fucking, sure, chaff in small amounts, a bit of fiber, but it's not what they're craving. I believe that people want a real, genuine experience. and media and concept and everything now is appealing to this algorithm that doesn't fucking care. And I think it's like, I just can't anymore. I really can't anymore. But I'm absolutely adamant that the overwhelming majority of people want something real. They want a real fucking genuine experience. And that's the thing that really gets me, is it's so hard to provide that. It's hard to provide that experience because I myself am so fucking angry. Razi, what do you think about this?
I don't think there's anything fundamentally mismatched about you being angry, delivering anger, and it being genuine and authentic and resonant with your audience. First of all, I mean, you might not personally stand to benefit from staying and dwelling in anger for too long without respite or some variety, but I don't think that's a problem. You make stuff that's appropriately like that, in other words, and I think it does have the authenticity that you're talking about. And secondarily, Carl, literally, do you need to be exposed to this stuff that you're talking about? Is it essential?
Hold on, what stuff? Oh, it's in the feed, and I have a problem with. I have an internet addiction. That sound in the background is Frank. Keep going.
Kitty. I mean, we can't. Diagnosing people over the internet as we are, even if I've known you for a while, like, this is a choice to be made. Every single one of your feeds can be de-algorithmized, and you can practice finding gems and finding things that are truly interesting and exciting. And it does require getting outside of the algorithm and finding primary sources that you can sort and look through and go back to the sort by date oldest by an author that you like, filter out, the most popular and go to topics. There's practices that you can engage in and make parts of your habits that can replace and still feed the addiction and still build your influences and still present you with entertainment, but lead on your own power to finding these gems. And I don't think I'm really good at it, but I do think that I do it more than most people I talk to. And that is the practice of looking at some stuff that's not presented algorithmically, is hard to get through and takes a really fucking long time to get to the good stuff, but it's there. And then, 3 times a year, I find a new whatever piece of culture that I engage with and find really edifying. And I don't think this is really a solution to the main topic of what you're talking about, where the world is salty and we need to, find a good balance or counterbalance to it. But I think it can be a component in that.
And I thank you. I think that when I say like, Alex, I see your hand. Give me a second. I'm trying really hard to like stuff that is interesting to me, that is like inspiring and genuine and real. A whole bunch of other shit keeps creeping in there though. And my issue, that's why my phone is not in my workplace and it's not beside my bed. Because I know that if I pick that fucking thing up, I'm going to spend an hour just going flick, flick, flick. And it's really interesting that I used to be able to fall asleep like that. Like I was asleep in 1 minute kind of guy, like literally 1 minute. And only recently, 2-3 years, that's changed. I'm not a go to sleep instantly guy. And this is another really interesting, like what has happened inside me that has taken that. Like I've always considered that was one of my superpowers, is I fucking fall asleep like that. And I know that it's because at night my body goes, oh, I want to scroll. It's that addiction thing. And I know that my if I watch a video on YouTube, I don't watch shorts. I watch stuff that's interesting, that is going to inspire me and push me harder. But the trick is you've got to stop. You've got to stop. I've got to stop. You've got to figure out what you've got to do, but I have to stop 2 hours before. It's the same thing as food, man. 2 hours before I sleep, no fucking internet. And it's not just a case of I should check my mail. What's my calendar say that I'm doing tomorrow? Oh, what's going on over here? And that's real hard. It's real fucking hard. And that's why, I'm grateful I have paintings. By the way, if anybody has any information or knowledge about spray, acrylic spray thingies for acrylics, I want to get into spraying, please tell me. Yeah, that's where I am. Alex, and thank you. But let's not make this about Carl. I want to, I want everybody to talk about their salty reality. There's a better way of saying that. Alex, tell me about your salty reality.
Well, unfortunately, it's at least partially about your problem. I think there are ways on your phone where you can restrict the time when you access certain apps. And also, you can make just another account and just try to geoform this account by just strategically following stuff. I did some experiment accounts where I just tried to manipulate the algorithm to get certain results shown in my recommendations. And it sort of cured me of every Instagram addiction I ever had, because you sort of snap out of it because you realize how it works. At least right now. Maybe it won't work in the future, but that's one thing. Also, you can maybe get somebody in your situation could get a second phone just for social media apps. So it can be like in a silo, how's it called? Like contamination zone.
Yeah, good idea.
And kept away, and maybe you can give it to a priest of any religion and let them do an exorcism. I don't know.
Thank you. I've got my time down to under an hour and a half a day. But it used to be a lot more than that. But nevertheless, I thank you for that. This is very fine advice. And I'm trying to, every time I have to do stuff on social media, I'll do it on the computer, because I don't scroll on the computer. I only scroll on my phone. And I was going to take the apps off my phone, but there's certain things you can't do on the computer. For example, update the links, and there's certain things you can't do. But nevertheless, thank you. Oh, man, this is all about battling addiction. Ivan, talk to me.
Okay. Phones and tablets are media consumption devices. Computers, desktops, are media creation devices. And so the interaction between the two, with social media is going to be different as a result. No matter what one thinks about, tablets and phones, in the end, they're consumption devices. And people that's all they know. They only know how to consume. That's not so useful for us. Also, I've especially over the last year, I've gotten very good about like on Saturday. This is as close to social media as I get on Saturdays. Like I take the freaking day off, and it's pretty refreshing.
As he takes a sip from the skull.
You know who also drank out of a skull?
Yeah, the guy in Indiana Jones.
Lord Byron.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah,
That
when
would have
he
been a real skull, though.
living up in the the old monk's place, he found a skull and had it turned into a goblet. And
The Goblet of the Skull. That's my new God song. Good stuff. Good stuff. So I guess the question, and I thank you all. This is brilliant. I'm really grateful. The question is, how do you get more edgy? How do you go further into that deep, deep water to find the ideas? That kind of rhymed. How do you do it? And we sort of talked about that. So I don't even know why I asked the question again. But Rezi's going to answer the question again because Carl sucks.
No, it's because you're inspiring me.
Oh, thanks.
There's always two things here. The first thing is I haven't had any kind of success tail wagging the dog about social media algorithmic feeds. Taking the app off my phone doesn't change the fact that I'm going to go download it and start looking at it again. I mean, it's still my choice. And there's always something fundamentally behind that motivation that needs to be replaced with some other sort of opiate, I guess. And what I had alluded to before is like that practice of leaning deeply into the things that you're almost on the you're just on the edge of getting, you're on the verge of cracking it. And maybe that's something about a synthesizer architecture, maybe that's something about recording technology, maybe that's something about songwriting and harmony arranging theory, that you just like, this annoys me, I don't get it, but I know there's something there. Why is it bothering me? Look deeply into it, find out what is in that type of song genre that you can't stand, but you know that there's the production value that you've got to crack, and you learn it. And maybe that's a way for other people. I know it's been something successful for me. Maybe that was both one and two things all wrapped together there. But I just, like, I hear people listing tricks that they have to do an end run around some motivation that they have, and maybe they're good reminders, and it's a good practice of putting these sort of post-it notes around you to say, don't do this, don't do that, and I don't know, those things end up becoming, like, for me, almost immediately part of the salt, part of the noise, part of the trouble that I'm dealing with. So if I put up an obstacle or even just a sign or a reminder to myself about what not to do, it's like, oh, but I already had the impulse to do that. I can ignore the note. I don't even have to look at these notes. They're everywhere. It's just noise. Getting drawn to rather than pushed away. There's something magical in that.
Okay.
I don't know how to make it reliable, but
I like this. Thank you. Ivan, talk to me.
the algorithm is also it is a bastard. The advertising algorithms, they understand that your phone is connecting to the internet through a particular, router. And they know that, like, your desktop is connecting through a particular router, or other people in the house are connecting through that same particular router. So what will happen is other people around you will start getting ads pushed to them that are meant for you. So, like, for instance, my phone gets a surprising amount of roller derby ads for gear. Meanwhile, my wife knows when Perfect Circuit is having a sale before I do. Um, it's because it's a bastard, because, like, think about it the way they do. If you can get the people around the person that's your target to start talking about the things that you want them to be interested in, they will end up following along even more quickly.
Thank you very much.
And my biggest fear is the algorithm is the looking glass we made to see ourselves in.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Thank you. Alex, when your lights turned on just then, for a moment, you looked like the devil. There is an incredible visual breakthrough that you're going to have one day, and I really want to be there to get it. And everything, this whole dark forest thing, it's going to come. It's going to go. Okay, he nailed it. And then I will say, oh yeah, I knew Alex before he was the Aphex Twin of Darkness. Alex, tell me, and I mean that sincerely, by the way. I do mean that. Talk to me.
I forgot what I wanted to originally say, but luckily, or maybe sadly, I'm not the devil. I don't hardly know her.
She's a real estate agent in New York and has just
Yeah.
opened up a branch in LA. Does rentals predominantly, but anyway, looks great in a suit. Alex, what were you going to
Ah,
say?
yeah,
I'm
right. I
sorry.
remember. Sorry. My problem is that I have this strong conviction of I want to what you, or maybe I sometimes have this strong conviction what I want to do. This whole vision about my whole artistry, usually at 2 a.m. when I'm about to go to bed. And my problem is that this doesn't stay the same for when I wake up. And I know I should not waste my time on stupid things, be more, it's not even, what's it called? Be more consistent. And it's not even discipline, it's like focus. And yeah, that's my huge problem to stay on course and to remember why I'm doing what I'm doing or what I want to do, why I want to do what I want to do.
Thank you very much. Okay, right. So here's something fun, Brett. Welcome. Thanks for your help this week, by the way. I just found this, and this is Meteor Addicts, MeteorAddictsAnonymous.org. It's a real thing. Because for those of you who don't know, I attend smart meetings for other things, and they're great. And if you, and I might actually stick my head in on one of these meetings. They talk about people who have media addictions. There's also one for gamers. Because, dude, I remember, what was that fucking game called? World of Warcraft. The addiction of that one, and that's now become Minecraft. But there's also a gaming addiction one. And kids, this is addiction, and we take this shit seriously. It's very, 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 very serious. So there it is. And I'm actually going to put that in my weekly every time. That's going to be something that I'm going to talk about. Now I'm going to start bringing this up in the pimpage. Compulsive use of all media. We need to address this. You need to address this. I need to address this. Because it's like any addiction, it's fucking with your brain. And I did a blipfed on media internet addiction. And I went into the whole, I should find that. I went into the entire, what it's actually doing to your neurological process and how it's shagging you. Does anybody want to take over for a minute? Rezi, please hit me.
But first, what's smart meetings?
Smart is an alternative to Alcoholics Anonymous. And they also have a thing called Craft, which is, so Alcoholics Anonymous has Al-Anon for people who have loved ones who are alcoholics, and I've done Al-Anon meetings, and Craft is the equivalent for people who have loved ones who are addicts. And it's interesting that those meetings are hard. Like when you're actually dealing with addicts in a meeting, there's a lot of positivity and there's a lot of answers but when you're dealing with family members, it's hard. It's really, they're so hard. And I actually think more addicts need to sit in on on these meetings where it's the family members that are talking about, sorry, this is all very, 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 very fucking heavy. I think, if you're struggling with an addiction, you need to sit on a meeting where it's the family members talking about it so you can see what it's like. And that will be a really big encouragement to kick that fucking habit or to face that terrible demon, because I think they are demons, literally demons. Okay, so there it is. Media Addicts, go check it out. We've come to that fantastic place where there's really nothing left to talk about, and we've solved the world's problems. Oh wow, hold on, there's a whole bunch of, what's going on?
Are you pointing at me? It feels like
yes,
you're pointing at me.
Yes. I'm pointing at you.
I just wanted to bring it one more little step around to when everything seems undifferentiated and like you're comparing saltiness to saltiness, checking in with your fundamental values as opposed to your preferences and what's maybe coming at you, like really looking inside and reminding yourself at these points of departure into the algorithms, into an addiction, into a doom scrolling session, into something that feels like it's the wrong direction when you look back on it, and comparing it with how you really model what you find important. And does this thing match what I know I value? And values are things that generally don't change from day to day, let's say. They don't change from week to week, probably. They might not change over a decade. They may be still your core values, whatever they are for you. And looking at how this little act in the weather of distractions for this day, this hour, really fits into the climate or the global ecosphere, to stretch the analogy, of values that are less changing and more fundamental, and you can rely on comparing your core beliefs with what you're about to go do. That's also a little heavy, but every once in a while that one gets me somewhere.
I like it, and I'm all about heavy because we go heavy here, and I don't mind that one bit. So shit, I gotta make sure that that's publicly viewable. I did a video. Fucking how long ago did I do this video? Wow, March 2020. That was my lockdown video. Oh my god, there it is. Hold on, making sure that, could somebody make sure that you can actually view that fucking video? Carl. Oh god, my thing's going crazy. And great, and the sounds of the boomage in there is the fucking hex inverter drum machine, as Josie jaws us across the line. Yeah, I'm just going to stop here and talk about addiction for a minute. I want you to watch that video. It's not an opinion. It's a whole bunch of research. Here is the research that I am presenting. And in the last 5 years, Jesus, that's 5 years ago. In the last 5 years, I have come to, that has been reinforced. That's science. It's not Carl talking woo-woo shit. It's science. And it talks about the science of addiction, and it talks about the battle that the pleasure center has with your frontal lobe. And that is the actual chemical hardware that is going on in an addiction. And it's, the hard thing about an addiction is that you can't reason with it. You can't reason with an addiction because reason, look, if you know, you know. And if you know, then it's been through a horrible fight with the Balrog where you lost. And you go, no, can't reason with the Balrog. I think that if you feel that you have an addictive, if there's something addictive going on in your life, please, you can't fix it. Your brain can't fix it. Willpower can't fix it, because willpower comes from here, from your frontal lobe. That's where willpower comes from. All of your energy is going into your pleasure center in your fucking brain. So your hardware is changing. And it's got not really much to do with opioids and that stuff. This has got that's like the signal flow. This is physically hardware. So there you go. That's it. Does anybody else want to bring up anything fun, talk about this, or talk about something else fun? Besides the fact that all my ads are now full of fucking algorithm ads are now full of secondhand fucking Korg odysseys. Thank you, Vulture Culture, for that. We were all looking at each other blankly now. Brett, thank you for helping my computer work, by the way.
No problem. I was trying to remember the reference there, but you posted something up with one of your synthesizers, and I couldn't recognize the synthesizer, and I'm trying to figure out where it was now to ask you about it.
Was this today?
Yeah, I saw it today. Yeah, I saw it.
That's the Moog one.
Okay.
And it's interesting that so that's new Angelspit on. I'm now releasing Red End, which is album number 12. This is album number 13, and that's the first song. And the whole saltiness has got a lot to do with that. I am constantly trying to do something new and exciting, and it's so weird that, and I've got this thing that if you hear an Angelspit track, if you hear the sound, because every sound is unique, like even the kick and the snare, it's all generated on modular stuff. So and I've always gone, you should be able to pick what the sound is if somebody plays your 1 second clip. But I am concerned and this has to do with the whole salt thing that I'm talking about, that I'm losing the ability to find out if I can actually do that because I am overwhelmed with, is it burnout? Gee, I don't know what it is. Saltiness. So anyway, and on the Moog one, there are the bass sound. I've got, if you care, the Dark Energy, always playing the subs. But then I was at a club the other night thinking, maybe I just put too much, there's too much going on in the subs with Angelspit. There's a lot going on. And I was listening to this song, and it's like the bass line wasn't here, because I'll go bass line here, sub here. And the sub is, the bass line might be doing this, but the sub is doing, like, instead of it going dung, the bass line's going dung, 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 like that. The sub might be going dung, 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 like that. So it's emphasizing, but so the bass is here, basically C1. Track I was listening to the other night had C2 bass, so it was an octave higher. And there wasn't the only thing happening in that sub area was the kick. And that's great. I just love hearing literal lows and subs that are moving you, but I also love clarity. And I understand that a lot of the time, what's going on in the bass and the subs isn't actually there, it's pretend. So you might, okay, here we go. I'm going to say something, and when you think you know what it is, start saying it along with me. Red flowers are pretty. Red flowers are pretty. Red flowers are pretty. Just put your hand up. I'm actually going to turn this. Red flowers. When you think you know how it's going, what comes next, just put your hand up. Red flowers are pretty. Red flowers are pretty. Red flowers are pretty. Red flowers are pretty. Alex, I'll do this all day. Red flowers are pretty. And the job is you put your hand up when you think what's going to happen next. Red flowers are pretty. And can everybody turn their microphones on, please? Red flowers are pretty. Alex, this isn't a trick. It's pop music. Ivan, this is pop music. Red flowers are pretty. Now I'm going to emit a word. And you guys say what you think that word's going to be. Red flowers are...
Pretty.
Pretty.
Pretty. Red
Flowers.
are pretty. Red flowers
Hard.
pretty. Red
Flowers.
are pretty. So this is when there's a voice saying red flowers are pretty over and over and over and over again, the bass can just be going red, red, or red flowers, red flowers, red flowers are pretty. And the crazy thing about it is that your brain might think that the sub is there the whole time. Your brain might not even fucking care. And that's what I am constantly like, and that's the thing. Your brain's going, oh fuck, this is important, and your body goes, I don't fucking care. I just want to dance, or I just want to do this, or I just want to, feel that thing. And you overthink. I overthink too much, and then I go to a club, and I go, and the great thing about the club I went to is that it was shit, and the speakers were shit. And I these two massive fucking speakers, and they didn't have, you could feel that they were trying to produce the lows and they were cracking up. The sound guy should have put a fucking high pass on the main speakers because he had this big, beautiful sub and the sub wasn't correctly tuned. And I was just thinking, how many times has my tracks been played after I have fucking tried so hard to curb all of this mad fucking chaos? Because mad fucking chaos is what I do. I don't not make nice red flowers are pretty consumable pop music. I don't. I do mad fucking chaos. And because my audience likes mad chaos, but more importantly, I like mad chaos that I'm punching the shit out of and it's punching the shit out of me. But the fucking, like when you have to put on that engineer producer hat, there comes a point where you got to go, dude, you're talking too much. Just say red. Or just say flowers. For the next 8 bars, just say flowers. Because everybody by now knows that red flowers are pretty. Razi, I want you to tell me how your red flowers are pretty.
I can't keep plants around the house. Jojo eats them. So they're dead, dried, desiccated, stuck on the wall.
Spider plants.
I don't really want them around.
No, spider plants are great, and they're non-toxic to cats, and you water them once a week, and it's just a bit of water, and they need a little bit of light. They're fucking great. But what were you going to tell me about red flowers being pretty?
Interesting phenomenon that I experienced just this week on exactly that topic. For reasons beyond the scope of this conversation, I was doing a tone sweep from like DC up through 80 hertz or so, listening to it, and I took off the cans. And I got a laptop that I've always considered like, oh man, it's weird. It's uncanny how much bass this thing represents. It's this thin. Why does it always have so much bass? I put it on the desk. It's like, oh, it's got bass. Tunes come on that you've heard at the club, and it's like, oh, the bass is there. It's amazing. There's no subwoofer. There's no folded bins. It's just a little thin. So the tone sweep's going up, and then I notice it starts over again in the same octave, like 40 to 80 instead of 20 to 40. It's folding the octave up an octave to give you the impression of the low bass very effectively, I might add. It doesn't require that 20 to 40 octave is represented because it's flipping it around and representing it an octave up in the 40 to 80 range. These aren't exact tunings, but something in that range. And I, for the entire time I've owned this laptop, was just assuming it was pumping the subs, but no, it's your ear doesn't care which real octave down there is happening. As you're sitting back from it, you're not feeling the laptop in your chest, but your ear and brain are hearing it. And it's like really a convincing thing that the lowest subs are all present and accounted for just because the acoustic designers and engineers knew these drivers can't play 20 hertz. So let's just flip it back up an octave and make sure it's still represented in the mix anyhow. And they did a good job. Like, it's a great thing. Some of these people that are doing acoustic design algorithmically and maybe electromechanically are geniuses. But they're right on what you're talking about. Bass is in the ear and brain to some extent.
And that's interesting as well, because this is the other thing, is that your phone's got fucking bass even when you turn it off, it's got bass fucking juice in it. Because there is absolutely no way a speaker as big as your thumb can put out 60 cycles. Can't happen. Anyway, but your hand's still up. Did you want to add anything to this amazingness, or do I throw it to the Ivanator? He drinks from his skull. Ivan drinks from his skull and brings wisdom to us all.
Yeah, the clubs are like the final test in my world. You take your recording and out to the car, see how it sounds in car speakers, but that's nothing compared to like just how crappily club audio equipment gets treated. And if you survive that, then you're in good shape.
Yeah, the amount of times and he drinks from the skull. The amount of times I've listened to one of my mixes in a club and I've gone, I want to kill myself now. Actually, it's not that bad because I spend a lot of fucking time mixing and mastering, but there have been a few times where it's like, oh, you can tell that there, and then you listen to some other track that's beautifully produced and you just go, no, it sounds like shit too. So, but it's never a list, you have to take this shit into consideration. You fucking do. I'll just be quick, Brett. I see your hand. So I've been watching documentaries and stuff, and this failure documentary about the band failure that I was going on about last week that are fucking amazing. And I remember every shot besides having a 4-track, want me a 4-track, they had fucking NS10s. And I fucking hate NS10s. Christ in a handbag, I hate NS10s. And I heard somebody saying there was a specific reason for the NS10's fuckerage. And it wasn't because, they're a great reference speaker. There was some other reason that, God, I hate NS10s.
I mean,
Jesus.
Generally they're regarded as not that great sounding and not totally flat, but they're inexpensive, replaceable. Everybody has them, and they kind of sound a little bit more like a home speaker, but they still represent enough to get by on more than an Auratone would. But if I could get my shit together, I would buy a single Auratone in mono and just put it off to the side and do most of my mixing on that.
I have similar things that are the shit speakers, and also it's my laptop, but my laptop is so bad. Like, it's so fucking bad. But then again, and this is what sucks about audio. Hey, there's a blah 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 fucking Moog. Sure, there's the whole doesn't matter thing, but that's another conversation. I'm sorry, I went off topic. Brad, I'm throwing it to you. Talk to me.
So I had kind of a question in regards, or this is more of an opinion, but so in design, I've been playing with a lot of cinematic sounds lately. And so a lot of impacts, things like that have a lot of sub energy punch through, you can feel it, right? The question I've got though is, what is that like? How do you tune that, or do you tune that? Do you try to make those hits in that case? Do you treat them like a drum? Do you treat them like a bass? Do you treat them like an asteroid impact? What's kind of the preference overall?
I'm going to put a pin in that. I want to hear from Alex and Aaron. Then I want to jump on this. Thank you very much. Let's get back to this. Alex, what are you thinking?
I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that the reason what the NS10s do well, what other speakers don't, is that their ringing is the same in all frequencies. Like the bass doesn't ring out more than
Yes, that's
treble.
it. That was the reason. It's unified ringing. That's the reason. Thank you.
Yeah, basically that. I wanted to say something different, but I forgot, of course. So
Okay. Thank you. Aaron, talk to me. Welcome.
Hey, good to be here. Good to be back. Yeah, one thing I'd like to float out there, when we're talking about territory to delve into and new paths, et cetera, and we've mentioned it before, but it bears repeating. I mean, do what you got to do to craft your space. If you got to hang sheets, hang sheets. If you got to light candles, light candles. If you got to have different lights, prime example is when I voice for Bet Noir, it is always dressed as Bet Noir for Wicked Stories. There's just no other choice in that. But on that note, I find that I get very obsessive about it, but in a good way. And what I'm starting to see more and more is a pattern of recognition that obsession in the right framework becomes something that's really awesome. And a lot of it is tethered to theatrics. So I wouldn't shy away from that. When you see Slipknot, In This Moment, Sleep Token, industrial bands, you see all of these different people that had a one-off gimmick that people just didn't get. It wasn't a fucking gimmick all along. Like when you really think about it, because each band, each thing had they had a vision. They had something they were obsessed with. They had something that was unshakable. It was something that when you can compile all of these lighting effects or sound cues or stage design or wardrobe changes or simply just going by a number and a mask instead of an actual name. I mean, there's power in being able to do that and channel through, and it could also help if you're on the self-conscious side, because if you're painted up in war paint or if you're wearing a mask, it doesn't feel like as anxious, I know that's a lot to throw out there, but what I'm getting at is your obsession channeled in the right things, plus theatricals and or lights, can help you kind of break through to round out what you're driving for and help make it like twice as awesome.
Thank you. There's a rant in that one as well. Thank you. Razzie, hit me.
Brett, here's my answer. 44 or 41-ish, the low E on a bass is sort of where I bother being in key. So I do a lot of stuff in E, even if there's drones and noise and things. And the octave below that, I can reserve for things I am not as meticulous about. These, the DTs will go down a little bit below that pretty accurately. But if you happen to be in a room where you know where you need to sit to hear 20 hertz accurately, then we could talk about it. I'm not in that room. And I haven't done a lot of exploring on my cans to compare them to other things, to look at levels and really make that critical listening, to worry about fundamentals lower than like the low bass. As a guitarist, that's just where I the low E on a bass guitar. So yeah, I tune drones and noises and stuff down there, and there's a ton of room to, an octave down from there to make noises and churning and stuff that you're not as worried about tuning. But it's like a real balancing act. Like knowing exactly what it's going to do without having to take a ride to somebody's mastering room and listen to it, or to the club to even hear those frequencies being sustained. I generally end up in the key of E a lot because of that. And the fundamental, the tonic, is the place that I tune stuff down in that octave. Because then, you can just cheat and tune stuff to 20.05 and 40.1, and it'll be in tune, but you don't even have to hear it. Anyway, I end up in E a lot because of that, for doing those noises and low noise cinematic drones and stuff.
Awesome. Thank you. Ivan?
E is a good place for that. E flat is a pretty decent place for that. E is a very good place for it. Back to it sounding good in the club. I know that, like, speaker modeling and audio modeling is become kind of a big thing. But you know what they don't model is Neo when it's got a small crowd, or Neo when it has a huge crowd, and like really being able to capture that space as sound, in your home setup or for mastering would be kind of an exciting thing, because like Neo's sound system was so very cobbled together and mismanaged. It was not even funny, but it worked. They managed to take very messed up stuff and make it work. And having a good representation of that while you're mastering would be a godsend.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for the memories of Neo. Neo. I never went. I went once, I think. Anyway. So just to clarify, bro, we're talking about tuning as in actual pitch correcting it, yes?
Yes. So kind of the examples I gave you is like and probably it's more of a where does it matter in terms after you scale up, because obviously headphones you can do a lot of tricks and things there. So if you're using something like, I don't know, you take a hammer and you smash it into a pile of rocks, you get these unique sounds, these unique sub-frequencies, and if you capture them well, when you play that back on a system, it's going to have those same thumps. Now, the question becomes, does that become noise, or does that become part of the sub-bass world in the mix? And if so, do you try to tune those frequencies to the tune of the song? Or do you allow them to be what they are, and maybe it's a hybrid?
Okay, thank you. If I was doing this, depending on the musicality of it, I would tune it. Like if it's some of those samples, cinematic samples, have got a clear bang drone point, and in that case, I have to tune them. I don't like tuning the subs and the bass just because I like the chaos of it, but sometimes you got to do that. And like with the hex inverter fucking BD kick drum, analog kick drum, I have to tune it every time. FYI, C is a bitch of a key because 65 cycles is too high, and 37 cycles, which is a C there, is 67, which I feel like is too high. A lot of people are going to disagree with me on that one. And the 32, 33, whatever the fuck it is down there is too low. Most systems actually roll off at 37 cycles. Just saying. And I will, when I'm mixing, I'll put a roll off at 37. And sure, you don't hear the thump, like that low end thump of the bass, but you do hear the speakers go, oh my God, thank you so much. Now we're not spending all of this time, what did I just push? Go away. Now we're not spending all this time trying to reproduce this massive subs of this track that's badly mastered at super high frequencies, and thus pulling all of the energy out of everything else that I talk to every single other fucking sound guy about, because it's physics and nobody actually fucking listens to me. I would be, I have a sub, a dedicated sub bus when I'm mixing, and that's got a high pass filter that kicks in every single time the kick hits. There's a high pass that sucks the lows out of it, and those lows will be below 80 cycles. Interestingly, I think E is a good key to be in, and FG. They're good keys as far as sonically tuning a kick drum that is going to present thump. Like if you're in some bullshit fucking system, sure, be in the key of C and listen to that roll. And basically speakers roll off around about C-ish, low C-ish. They do. Unless it is an exceptionally good system. And most places don't have exceptionally good systems. In fact, most places roll off at 60. Anyway. So I would be putting that, and I would make sure that the sub is mono. So everything maybe below 100 or 80s or so is mono. And that goes into the sub bus. And that's along with the sub bass line. All of that shit is being sucked out when that kick drum thumps. Because you do not want two oscillators simultaneous. Like if you want the subs absolutely bitchin', there's one oscillator, not two oscillators, one oscillator. If you have an oscillating mono bass with one oscillator, not a sub, just one oscillator. Boom, dead center and low, and the whole sub speaker is playing a kick drum or a sub bass. Nothing else. And when that kick drum comes in, it's sucking the sub bass out, which fades back in. Then that's a totally winning combination, I have found. And if you do that, that's going to make most places sound okay, because the problem is that the big speakers are putting all of their power into making the bass work, and they are sucking the power out of the high end and the tweeters and basically everything above 1,000, which is why shit sounds brittle. Brittle is because the actual power ampage of the speaker is sucking, is focusing on the low end. And as a result, it sounds like dog shit. And people try and EQ the top and blah, blah, blah. No, don't do that. Take out the bass. And FYI, I always pull shit out at 400-ish, 370 something-ish. And also basically an E, which is 360, I think. And also an octave below that, kind of 200-ish, 180-ish. And always, like, I was in a club this one night and it sounded fucking awful. So I said, look, your speakers sound dreadful. And randomly they said yes to some random guy. So I just pulled, and it was a shitty fucking mixer. So I basically just pulled the tiniest amount. I put a little dip at 400-ish, put on a high pass around about 40-ish, and also pulled out some 2K. Just pull out a bit of 2K. Because if you pull out 2K in a club, pull it out, people can hear themselves better. And the whole system becomes better so that it can be representing bass, because that's what you want to hear. Sorry, rant from Carl. Alex, would you like to rant next?
My philosophy with tuning of drum sounds and maybe percussive sounds is to tune them, but not to a specific frequency or key, but just what sounds correct. And often your software or your sampler has a tuning knob. You can just close your eyes, wiggle your mouse or your potentiometer, and just see what feels good. I think that's like the best lazy way to find a good thing to settle in.
Please never change your mind on that. Please, no matter how much anybody ever says to you, oh no, you got to tune the kick, don't you dare. What you said, especially the part of closing your fucking eyes, dude, the amount of times that you don't make music for your fucking eyes. It's so funny how much of is you looking at these little jumpy lines going, No, Alex, you were so right. Tune what sounds good. Aaron?
Very interesting point about not using your eyes. Because, and I'm not saying that in jest, like, when I craft stuff for Wicked Stories, if it's something that I'm trying to undertake, and if it's something that, that I've been struggling with, I will snap Bet Noir's vocals out of it, and I will just close my eyes and listen to the mix and see if the tracks breathe the way they need to breathe, if there's an ebb and a flow to them, if it's not just compounding. Everything just can't be dread, and the same goes for music mixes. Everything can't be ratcheted up to fucking 10 on the knob or maybe 11. Like, there has to be some form of layering and balancing. But I think anybody that's in agony over the track isn't working is either A, not isolating the vocals out completely just to hear how the track moves and how, again, it ebbs and flows, or B, you're staring at the screen so much, or it's both, and that's with a side order of, I don't like my own voice, which is prevalent for most of the population, unless you're a narcissist and you absolutely are infatuated with your voice. But for the most part, on the whole, people find the sound of their own voice grating. So again, it's definitely an encouragement to mute the Vox out, let the track do the work. And for fuck's sake, I need to put this in the chat. You need to listen to Climatize by The Prodigy from the Fat of the Land. There are no lyrics in it, but oh my fucking God, is that one of the best tracks ever made, because it's a testament to just letting the track breathe and letting it roll and letting it build and letting it again, note there are no spoken words, but they pump so much emotion through that mix. And it is one of the coolest fucking things I've ever heard, and you may ever hear or revisit. But I'm going to put it in the chat. It's fucking amazing. And maybe that's one more solution for burnout. If the lyrics are tormenting you and the vocals aren't working, maybe you go, you know what? This is just a noise track, or this is an instrumental. This is an interlude. This is something to help, both, move you along and try something new, and try to claw back out of that trench.
Thank you. And I'll also reiterate about the importance of silence. Silence, man. It's so, if you want that fucking groove to just go silence, you have a part, a 16th, a slither, not even reverb, where it's just silent in the groove. Like, yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Who else? Let's go. Rezi, talk to me.
New topic, or do you have more thoughts on where we're at?
Whatever is on your heart of hearts.
I was wondering, how many channels do you have going into your DAW or whatever you record with, or monitor with, or both? And are they enough? And if they're not, what's your system for getting stuff swapped in and out as needed?
What an interesting question. I've got a 18 in 20 out thing, the Focusrite, which is great. And it's even better because I have Brett who helps me every time it just stops fucking working, which it did the other day.
18i20 is the single rack space one, I think.
Yes, third gen. Love it.
Yeah. I just installed one of those. It's great.
They're great. I do use a lot of the inputs, but there's stuff that, like, for example, my vocal processor is hardwired into one of it, that every time I want to access that, I just go there. The mixing desk is coming, I've got two inputs on the front, which might be vocal microphones, or it might be when I'm pulling something out of the modular. And I also have digitals coming in from the desk. Because the desk is 9624 and this thing's 9624, so everything's digital and happy.
On the ADAT port or the SPDIF or?
No, just the ADAT port. I don't even know what sort of, that one.
Channels of,
whatever digital something.
Cool.
And that's good. A whole bunch of fucking around getting that working.
But that's truly hybrid. Like, you've got a mixer with a submix, and you've got those stuff directly patched to your audio.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of the like the submixing and shit is in Cubase. And as far as outputs go, I've got quite a few. I've got like 4 outputs being sent to the modular patch bay that can then get whatevered. Obviously output to the speaker. I don't have a separate monitoring mix. It's just master output. And that goes to the desk, which goes to the monitors digitally. Oh no, it doesn't go digitally. It goes analogically, I think. Or does it go digitally? I can't remember. No, it's digital. Which I think is a waste, but I've got nowhere else to send it. Like, and then one of the outputs is hardwired into the effects, the vocal effects. And the cool thing about having the things coming, like, a thing I will always do is do a mix, and then I will pull something out, send it through hardware, pull it back in, print it, because I always have to adjust stuff because of latency, and edit shit up again. And that's really fun doing it. Like, it might be like for S Planet 9000, I'll set up a mix where it's going through the fucking BAT noise engineering, whatever the fuck that BAT tail thing is, which is so beautiful fucking reverb. And then I'll pull it in. So the printed track is a send bus of everything. So I might have sent a little bit of the lead, a lot of the pads, a bit of this, a bit of that, to make fucking space happen. So when you listen back to it, it's got everything in it. And I'm glad I do that, because you can then go to the mix track itself, to that actual reverb, and cut the reverb. So you might have a part where it's totally dry, and then you might go buh, 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 and then it's completely wet. So then you mute out all the dry tracks. I know there's other way to do this when you're fucking doing whatever. Like, you know, you can automate shit to buh, 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 but I don't, because I'm a lazy prick. And plus, it's got to do with the less control I have over things, the better it is, which I've learned from painting, that you've got to... Here's a rant, I'll be quick. I'm learning that the trick with music, as it is with painting, is let's just say that this point here, this physical thing that I'm doing is what looks real. And there's no more imagination required now, because I can see the alien or the face or the whatever the fuck it is with clarity, and there's not really much room for the viewer to imagine or make up the space. It's like an Alien. I'm showing you the whole Alien now in lights, and you can see the whole fucking Alien. The trick is you need to stop 3 or 4 steps before that. So the alien is still in the shadow, and you can still see little tiny bits of it, and your eye fills in the pattern recognition in your eye and in your hearing fills in the gaps. Because that's why I love painting with a fucking blade. Is blades are dirty and gritty, and when you scrape across the canvas or the paper, it leaves all these little indentations. And your mind instantly sees those indentations as skin imperfections, breaks on the hull of the spaceship, or nice snow on the mountains of that Bob Ross painting. Sorry?
Bob Ross.
Yeah, totally. And that's actually the brilliance of Bob Ross, is that the user is engaged, the mind of the user is engaged to create the art. Only like 70, 80%, 60, 50, I don't fucking know, a percentage of the artwork is in the song or it's on the canvas. The rest is happening in your brain. And that is the fucking genius of it. That's what's going to make it better. And if you do that, and that's the problem with so much, the problem is that you can't go all the way and then step back. Like, you can't present the alien in beautiful lights and then you can't do that. You've got to stop, because by the time you get there, you as the creator have defined what the alien is. Do you understand? You have defined what it is. And the trick is, you don't want that. You don't want to say, and this is what I think of the world. You don't want to say that. You want to utilize the baggage and the imagination that the user, the viewer, the listener is bringing with them. That's how they own the song. And that is how they will take that song with them for the rest of their fucking life. Let them fill in the blanks. Rosie, your hand's still
up. Forgive me for jumping back to, as much as I'm vibing with that, the sort of mechanics of patching here, but I don't want a separate mixer anymore. You know, I had a really nice setup for years with a 32 channel 8 bus. Those 8 buses go to the DAW, and that's that you can record 8 things at a time, but everything's always hooked up. You need it to listen to it, to monitor it, put the fader up. I want the DAW to do that now. I'm done with the extra mixer. The digital mixer without its own faders is a pain in the ass. The DAW's latency is low enough for almost all monitoring, but I'm out of effects loops, you know? I mean, my rig is 18 returns, 18 inputs. And, you know, a few mics hooked up and a couple of stereo synthesizers, and you're down to, you know, the stuff that's left with a couple of returns. So I'm thinking I do want to eventually expand to 24 inputs or 32 or something like that, but it's not a rush. So I'm just starting to think about it. But the convenience of having your shit always hooked up, and that the thing that's labeled that says spring reverb is actually your spring reverb, and you don't have to like repatch something or decide if it's actually going through two other things. Like that's valuable. I'm trying to get there, but
Thank you, Brett. I see your hand. Give me a sec. I really thank you also for bringing it back. I'm sorry, I went on a rant. This is really interesting because like my O2R is 48 tracks, and I've got 3 cards in it, so I'm running 40 tracks. I've got 40 audio input analog inputs, and then the 3 stereo digital inputs, and I think everything's used. I've got a bunch of spare channels that shit can be patched into. But when I do a song, I'm trying so hard to not use everything because then I get paced. And this is such an interesting thing, is that when you don't have a lot of channels, you go, oh man, I want more channels. As opposed to maybe you should just get a really good fucking patch bay and say, well, the first 8 channels can be whatever. And then the other 8 channels on your 16 are going to be effects returns or something, because they might be a pain in the dick to effects return. But
a good 8-bus mixer where you can dump stuff by hitting a button is, for whatever reason, psychologically easier for me to deal with than repatching.
Yeah.
Here's
I feel you on
synths,
that.
boom, bus 1, 2. 2 other synths, boom, bus 3, 4. And the DAW is normal to just record those and hit record and go. Like that works. Patch bay, I know they're there, but like, I don't know. I'm not wearing my glasses. I can't read which channel it is. I don't have the patch points memorized. Who knows? It's a little bit.
I feel you on that. I really feel you. The fucking O2R takes up so much room.
Yeah.
O1V, O2R. Yeah, it takes up, like, it's this huge fucking thing. It's like 2 feet across.
But it's 24 wide, mix channel wise, like faders.
Yeah, and there's 3 flip layers. I absolutely fucking love this thing. I love it.
I think it's
because and they're really fucking cheap, but they're so fucking huge. And the really wonderful thing about it is I'm trying to get back to the concept of I'm doing mixing and on this thing. So by the time I send it across, the mix is well and truly part done. So my issue right now is I have too much gear, and I'm questioning. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I'm really questioning. That
things graduate and get demoted, and they're not on the main system anymore. Not to keep babysitting this discussion, but my ultimate rig, which I can't put inside because there is no inside to my current computer, was those 24 IO things that Motu used to make. I had 2 of those for 48 patch points, 24 in, 24 out, 24 in, 24 out, and you just plug stuff in for days. And it doesn't do any mixing or DSP really in the device. It just goes straight to Pro Tools or your DAW. And that was like, if I could replicate that, I'd probably be happy. I'm going to shut up about it for now.
I had a Yamaha card that would talk directly to the old O1V, and it had DSPs built into the card and effects built into the card, so all the processing was happening on the card and not on the computer, and connected by light pipe. Fucking best. I'm going to shut up as well, and I'm going to throw this to Brett.
Hey, Raziel. All right. I think I'm pretty close to doing what you want to do. So I used to run a Delta 1010 LT card that was in my home. I literally had everything plugged up. I never touched it. I turned it on. I opened up FL Studio and did all my mixing right there using the virtual sliders. I've replicated that in this studio. That's where I use the XR. I run the USB channel instead of the audio channel to the DAW, and then in the DAW, I'm able to select any one of those mixers, any one of those sliders, and control it directly right within the DAW. So all I ever need to do is do that initial setup, and the way it ends up coming across, if you will, is it depends on the instrument I turn on. But at most, per instrument, there's only 2 channels coming in. That's because it's stereo. Otherwise, they're mono. There's 1 channel. Vocals, 1 channel. The output's 2 channels, again, stereo. All of my sub-mixing, sliders, and whatnot happen within the DAW. I literally strip its output to the master and send it over to another fader, run other side chains on the fly. And in terms of effects boxes, there are so many virtual effects out there that I have not seen a real reason to spend the money on hardware effects. With some small exceptions, and the way I handle those is, so what you don't see here is I've got my Akai Control FL Studio. I've got a small Mackie sitting here. Its sole job is to basically extend the cables of the DX7, the Quadriverb, and the PC4 to the X18. So none of that stuff ever moves. Then I have another small mixer here whose name I can't mention, and it has some digital effects on it. I don't use them very much anymore, and when I did, I used them to detune my voice. Obviously, that is something you can handle in VSTs all day long, 9 ways from Tuesday. So it's largely collecting dust because of the way everything else normally runs. And what it allows me to do, I've gone back, and some of these, like on the X-Air, are balanced connectors, and so I've gotten it balanced to both stereo and mono 1/4 inch, and that allows me to adapt the input mechanism of this to any scenario I ultimately need and have never needed yet.
That's really similar. As a matter of fact, I use those Balons to do the phantom power onto my patch bay over
Exactly.
connectors. So that's really good info, and we have similar setups on 18 channel XR.
Yeah. It was more complicated when I had the entire drum kit hooked up and mic'd. That required its own mixer. But there again, how does it get into my DAW? Stereo pair. I take care of everything before it comes to the DAW, and that way it's always just, when I get to the DAW, I'm taking instruments, regardless of MIDI channel. And in fact, I have labels on every one of these telling me which audio slider to look for and which MIDI channel to look for. And I just took all the guesswork out of it. And yeah, that might help you.
That's a great. I'm so not surprised at all that it's that well organized. You know, I was also thinking we need to do a thing called Aaron. I see your hand. Give me a sec. We need to do a thing called cable shame, where we post. Yeah, where you post behind the rig of the most shameful, disgusting cables. And I'm thinking that if you've got a cat, it's even worse because all the hair seems to build up, because a certain person whose name I don't mention loves walking in behind there. And especially when he's shedding, and it's full of hair. It's quite fucking disgusting. So cable shame brought to you by Art of Rock. We need to start posting cable shame, because that's the other thing is like, when you're moving or you look at the amount of cables that are involved, and it's like, fuck. I calculated that I have over a mile of cables in this room. A mile. Oh no, a kilometer. Because I bought these massive fucking spools of cables, and I've gone through several of them, counting MIDI, power, audio, digital, the whole lot. It's and when I was in Australia, it was even fucking worse. I just want to really quickly, so adapt, manipulate. Welcome again. It's good to see you. Hey, so those old school Echo Laylas, there's a thing you can get for those things. Yeah. Do you use it? There's a thing where
I just used it 2 months ago to take some stuff off the old computer that works with it. Echo Layla 20.
You can hook them up to become MIDI CV converters.
Yeah, because they're voltage through. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so cool. Anyway, that's all I got on that. Thank you so much. Aaron, what are your thoughts on this madness?
I just kind of wanted to bring up something that I was listening to earlier, but I wasn't on the video chat. It was about the fact of like I think it ties together with the whole version of stepping outside of your comfort zone, being out in the middle of the ocean, and then making the track work. Like you had said, sometimes it's a struggle to try to figure out if there's too much in the track and what to start pulling apart and trying to get it to breathe, etc. I just think that the main notion you should drive for, or you could drive for, is that you want to make music that makes you grin, to where you're like, holy fuck, that is awesome. Like, you have your core components, you got your bass and your kick and your snare, and you've got the vehicle that drives, but it's the embellishments that you add in your lyrics, in your delivery, or just in little sprites and things that you bring in to dress the track up. And that's very akin. I'll bring Bob Ross back into the mix. It's on the note of doing things that make people grin. I mean, when you're sitting there watching him work, you thought that you had it framed up. Like Carl said before, you see the face, and then you don't see a lot of minor details, but he'll start with trees and then there's a bonfire. Cool, nailed it. No, wrong. He starts painting more and more water, and he starts painting the reflections of the bonfire in the water, and he starts making the riverbank, and you also see the bonfire reflected on the snow. Holy fuck. Then you, the audience, are sitting there grinning your ass off, being like, man, how did he just do that? So again, that's the feeling you want to chase when you're crafting your tracks and you're doing your instrumentals. You want to provide that to both to yourself and to your audience.
I'm going to jump back on that in a second. We're talking about Bob Ross. Always gets back to Bob Ross, man. The guy's a fucking Jedi. I'm thinking for everybody else who's involved with Vulture Culture, we should pitch that Alex does a thing on cable management. And also photos of cable shame. Anyway, so this is really fascinating about Bob Ross, that, I have nothing but respect for him. I think the guy is brilliant, and I think his ability to manipulate the mind, that's his strength. And his knowing when to use a blade, a scraper, a blade, and knowing when to use a brush. And the way he doesn't often use a brush like, oh, I'm using a brush, like Rembrandt used a brush. Traditionally, Bob Ross is not a very good painter, like Rembrandt traditionally. But in Bob Ross's way, I don't think anyone on earth can, except his son, can do what Bob Ross can do. And in that way, he's brilliant. He was brilliant. So when I say I don't think he's a good painter, I'm being traditionally. And that's because the thing about when you look at a Rembrandt and everything, it's all there. You don't need any imagination. You're gasping at the brilliance of Rembrandt. Whereas with Bob Ross, you're gasping at the brilliance of the painting. And how you see all of these other things, and the way that, because the way the paint scraped across that snow mountain, your mind says, oh, there's rocks, there's crags, there's all this stuff going on. And I've always gone, how do you do that with music? And that's why, like, something I do like watching are videos about people who are painting nebula, because I love nebula. And when you see what they are doing and what they are not doing, and you realize what your brain is adding into it, it's just fun. Because when you see the final painting, they'll show you the final painting first, and then they show you the process. And then you can see the process, and you can see, oh, it was a whole bunch of brush strokes, and they did this, this, and this. But there's still this beautiful thing there that your brain has gone implanting brilliant thing. And that's not lazy. That's fucking brilliant. And as an artist, I think that, and that's, when you compare it, like Mozart's a great example, that everything's there. You don't need to imagine anything. It's just there. But when you listen to music, that might be, here is one thing that's happening, here is another thing that's happening, and they're being distorted. And because they're being distorted and there's reverb being added, all of these artifacts are being generated from distortion. that the artist has made a choice to do these things, that your mind hooks into it and hears detail and hears wonder. That's what blows my fucking mind. Yeah. Aaron, is your hand still up? Does anybody else want to jump in here? What's going on?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna throw in quick. I was about to say, I mean, that's what you that's the gift and the curse of being that artist, to where, like you said, you could already see a painting that's already there and it's already done, and maybe it's been there for hundreds and hundreds of years. That's your track. That's your magnum opus. That's etc. And I think it reflects greatly to where you can't explain the agony or the technical problems or the lack of cable management or whatever you had behind that track and the amount of blood, sweat, and tears that might have went into it. But if you're reframing things and you're challenging yourself to actually have fun with the fucking process and to do things the way that Mr. Bob Ross was doing, to where he's just like, check this shit out. It's going to be fun. Glad you're here. And he just starts fucking going, man. Like, you could see the joy in his craft reflect in the final painting, And to that end, I don't know if it would have had that big of an impact initially if we always saw the Bob Ross thing when it was done, vice how much fun he had while he was making it. And that reflects in his painting. So take from that what you will.
Thank you very much. And the ability to know when to stop. To know when you stop. And it's interesting. I think that maybe brings up a lot of the issues we've been having today. That internet addiction is knowing when to stop. When shit is too cluttered, you're going to know when to stop. Yeah. Okay. Who wants to jump in at this stage? Because this is the part of the show. Oh, no, actually, we're getting pretty close to going on over to MTV TV. Does anybody... Oh, I see... No, that's my hand. Does anybody want to bring up something that's going to last 13 minutes? Or we could go over, or we could stream right now. How are we feeling? Let's stream. Okay, let's raid. Thank you for joining us today. This was really good fun. I'm going to go through my let's get the fuck out of here now dialogue, which is this. Every Saturday we are here. This is the Art of Rock. We talk about failing through success, succeeding through failure. Gee, I don't know. But it's always good fun. That's on the Twitch. Also, that's where we YouTube it. And it's bloody great. This is brought to you by Angelspit's Patreon, which is there. You can join for free, or you can throw me $3 a month, and I'd be grateful, or more, whatever you want. Remember, Patreon supporters get a copy of the new album. And I'm painting your face today, Aaron. Oh, I've already painted it. Or have I? I think I have. I can't remember. There it is. It's the new album. I'm very happy with it. The Industrial Incisions playlist. Well, I know something I want to talk about. Is there. Please jump on it. Find a band you like and follow them. Even buy their shit from Bandcamp. On Wednesday night, we were talking about this stream a lot. Thank you, Adapt Manipulate. Is Vulture Culture. I'm wearing my Scum shirt. Go buy a Scum shirt. We hang out there on Wednesday nights and we talk about synthesizers, and it's very inspiring. It's good fun. A lot of funny chats going on in the comments. So please, bloody do that. And another human I want you to back is the amazing Resonator. Razzie, thank you.
Hey, thank you for having this show, for hosting us, man.
A pleasure. And thank you for helping make this madness happen. MTV TV, who also have a Patreon. So go and back their Patreon, because we got to keep them going. This is important. We're going there. Set up that raid, Diana. And if you've got a track you want to send them an email and they will play your music. Free publicity. And once you're on the rotation, you're going to get heard. Let's raid to MTV TV. As we're raiding out, something I want to bring up. Oh boy, this is such a touchy subject. What are alternatives to Spotify? and don't say Bandcamp. And the problem is that every single place you mention, you can shoot them down because they're just as bad. Tidal is too expensive, and their payouts to artists isn't as good. Thank you though, Diana. Pandora pay nearly quarter of what Spotify plays. But it's not so much. It's expensive. It's not just so much I don't know. I just don't know. It's the quagmire. I don't know. I just fucking push it on everything. Hey, how's that raid going? Are we raided yet?
Not quite yet.
All right, still raiding.
There we go. We just did.
Maybe we need to talk about that. Okay. Yes, adapt, manipulate, send them your music. And remember, if you want to find something amazing, watch Darknet. Also remember, that's a great social media thing. Also, there's Indivisible. If you want to move towards positively affecting the United States, Indivisible is a place where you can exercise your legal rights. And if you feel you have a problem with media, check out Media Anonymous, Media Addicts Anonymous, MAA. So we've rated.
Yeah.
We're going to bugger off. See you next week. But we're going to leave this open and stay back here and chat about